part two of this, I figured once I had the slab poured, I figured the easiest way to do is from step one and go all the way over. That's mostly true. Step one, you're putting these two pieces together. And this, I'm going to tell you, step one is the header for the garage door. So really, they're having you work from the rear to the front when you do the framing. That's how they're having you work. But for some reason, they want you to put this piece together first. So I haven't put it together yet, but it's laying down there. Step 1B is the door. So they give me two options for the door. The door option A on this side, door option B on this side. And then if you got the extension kit, which I do, it's the same thing. Well, I didn't like either one of these options, so I'm putting my door option B up here. That's the way I have to do it for my shed. Now, we'll see how that works. I think I got it figured out, but I won't know until much later. So, the framing. Anybody that's in construction knows that basically your base plate is usually pretty strong. Well, not in this case. It's here, but it's not very strong, and I'll show you it when we get there. But then what I thought is, okay, the reason this base plate isn't very strong is the only reason this base plate is here, for the most part, it's there to attach the panels to the bottom. For the most part, that's what it's there for. So what I did, so I'm going to show you 1C when we go out there. But remember now, I did door option TED, which is over here. So I changed it up. So then I went to step 2A. 2A was pretty self-explanatory, but very time-consuming. So basically what I did was I did an assembly line. And what you're doing is you're making trusses. It says lubricate screws to aid in assembly. The screws they give you are crap. So basically they're these little screws here. And if you use any kind of hammer drill, not hammer drill, if you use any kind of drill, a power drill, they strip out really easy. And once they strip out, it's just, you just got to throw them away. You won't even be able to run them in all the way. So what the thing is the holes are really small. They're tight, which is good. It says lubricate the screws to aid in assembly. I tried that with some lubrication and it was just a pain in the butt. So what I ended up doing is I set my drill on number 1 and I just pressed down on it real hard and they went right in. So it still stripped out a couple, but at least that's the way I did. So I laid this down on the ground and then I could do it that way. That way I could get leverage. If you can't get leverage when you're putting this thing together on your columns or whatever, you better do another pre-drill or just get ready to lose a lot of screws. So I'm going to show you how I did the trusses. So you can see that's what they look like. So I'm going to take the directions out and we're going to see what's happening. So here's your trusses. Now you can see, and you'll see on the directions, they want you to put these pieces in here, these pieces in here, all these pieces. It also tells you on the directions, put these pieces together and then put some screws in them. I had some screws in them. It said don't tighten the screws. And the reason is they want to keep it straight when you're lifting it up. So I'll probably have to put these screws back in. But I'm going to tell you, my advice to you is leave these a little bit loose, because when you get it up in the air, you need to put a beam between here. And if they're tight like this, you'll never get the beam. You're going to have to loosen them up. And me, it's just easier to loosen them up now like that. But the trusses, that's why I say the best thing to do is do an assembly line. And I got a 12 by 30, so I got 5 trusses. So that's how I did mine. Right like that. And that's what the finished product should look like. Right there. Now, following it on down, you got your columns here. And then you can see, well, you can't tell, but I've already pre-drilled, well, not pre-drilled, I made the hole bigger because I knew I probably wouldn't get any leverage. So I went ahead and screwed the screws in there now, and then screwed them back out. That way when it comes time to assembly, it'll go in easier. So there's my columns. They're attached to the base plate by these two right there. That's it. Okay. So if you see these two things, like, what are these? These aren't very... All those are little support pieces to keep everything held up when you get it in the air. So I'm going to show you something that really confused me. So after I made the trusses, I looked at this and went, well, that just doesn't make any sense, because I know that this is supposed to go in the back. So why are they showing that? And it stumped me. I couldn't figure it out. Well, because here's what's going on. It's kind of misleading, because you look at that like that. So that's step 3A. And if you look at the... and you look at this, you say, well, they're all the way in the back. They're not in the back. This is a separate system. Your trusses start here, here, here. So when we go to 3A, you can see, you see how it works? So then I still got that empty piece in the back. So that's how it works. So you do need two people to put this thing up. And then there's those pieces I was telling you about for support. I didn't use those. I did a different idea, but I did have to have a friend to help me to put these things up. And then what I did is I made all the attachments to the truss when it was down on the ground on one side, and that way I just lifted it up. And what I mean by attachments, I made one there, one connection there. I didn't worry about the base. So one connection there, one connection there. And then also all the connections. And I'll show them to you. It'd be better, all these connections. So I made one connection, one connection, one connection right there. So I made all those connections, so it was just standing up like this on the ground. And then when I could tilt it up, I just tilted it up, and then I could connect to the other side pretty easy. So with that being said, I'm going to show you what the trusses look like when they're all up in the air.